2 or 3 Sonys in every home. We go online statewide tomorrow.
Why bother?
Why bother with what?
Having elections. You've already got control.
People are funny, Tom. They tend to fancy notions like democracy, freedom of speech, free elections. It's an illusion, of course. Nobody is really free, you know that.
If you have no vote, you have no civil rights. In 2000, I was working for Yang Enterprises, which was a company in Oviedo, Florida, and their chief lobbyist, their corporate attorney, and Speaker of the House of Florida was Tom Feeney, and he was there to feed his contracts. So he came in one day, one of my first introductions to him, and he wanted us to build a vote-flipping software.
He's the Speaker of the Florida House, or about to be.
Right.
He comes into Yang where you're working.
He came in and he wanted a vote fraud system to be built.
He wanted a vote fraud system to be built?
He wanted a program that could flip the votes without anyone seeing it. He wanted it to be able to be run on a touchscreen machine.
Okay.
In other words, hidden buttons on the screen or something like that. No keyboards, no guy in a black mask sitting across the street in a van poking things in. You know, just walk up and do something. And he wanted the source code to be written in such a way that the manipulation was hidden even if you saw the source code.
Because of its design, the Diebold touchscreen machine proved vulnerable to a 20-year-old hack, the old bootloader hack. In 2006, a Princeton University professor and 2 graduate students confirmed what Harry Hursty had already proven. They posted their demonstration on YouTube, hacking the Diebold touchscreen machine in less than 1 minute's time. They inserted a vote-flipping virus that changed vote tallies, would spread to other machines, and flip an election without leaving a trace.
This is a national security issue.
That is correct. It's a national
Why
security
is it a
issue.
national security issue?
Of course, for the reason being that you actually decide for who are going to make the decisions for the future. I mean, everything to do with the votings are national security level issues in all the countries, not only in the U.S. level issues in all the countries, not only in the U.S.
In fact, in the states that had electronic voting, the numbers didn't match at all with the exit polling. But in states where they had paper, what do you know? The exit polls and the final results were almost perfect.
When he said all the way to the top, who did you think he was? Who was the top?
I was thinking Bush. I didn't know whether it was just Jeb Bush or whether it went farther than that. From Feeney's conversations, he thought he was right with Bush.
Feeney said that he was right with Bush.
Right. Both George and Jeb. So.
Lemmy says to you, this corruption goes all the way to the top.
Right. And all I have to do is wait a couple weeks and I'll be thrilled with the results.
So you waited a couple weeks.
And he turned up dead in a Georgia motel room. I'll say elections were stolen. In fact,
I think
I did.
You think the election was stolen?
Absolutely.
In 2004?
Look at the exit polls and they don't match the results. The same thing that we complained about when the Ukraine had their election.
Right.
And actually made them have a new one.
Right.
Their exit polls were actually closer than ours.
Why are they calling you?
They want to offer me big money to come back at first, you know. And then when it got to the point of, well, Feeney will find you a different job and we'll give you this $1 million anyway, it's like, why?
They offered you $1 million.
They offered me $1 million just to leave Tallahassee.
And why didn't you take that?
Because that's not right.
Why isn't it right? Is there anything illegal about?
Well, if you're
they're offering you a job, it's $1 million. How much were you making when you worked at Yang before?
60,000.
60,000.
Yeah.
And now they're offering you $1 million.
Now offering me $1 million. That's quite a price increase if there's not something illegal going on.
Are they still looking for someone? Because I could
Yang?
use some.
Oh,
yeah.
could you use?
Yeah, I mean, if it's $1 million,
you don't have to show up for the job either.
I'll leave Tallahassee. It's not a problem.
There's nothing quite so hot as a Georgia summer. But guess what? The Diebold machines break down in the heat. Now, I wonder if our illustrious Secretary of State, Kathy Cox, who wants to be the next governor of Georgia, first woman governor of Georgia, asked the question, how do the machines perform in the heat? If she had just asked that simple question, we would have had an alternative to the Diebold machines. But then by that time, of course, she had already allowed Diebold to place her photograph and the seal of the state of Georgia on their promotional materials. So she had become wedded to this particular system, which I think kind of is a conflict of interest.
Moving on, if you planned on following the presidential election in November, you might want to plug your ears. A big election spoiler is coming up. A minor software glitch at the Diebold Corporation today caused thousands of electronic voting machines to accidentally release the results of the presidential election months ahead of schedule. According to the group of military and corporate leaders that has chosen every American president since Eisenhower, Diebold's mistake marks the first time the nation's leader has been revealed prematurely.
I don't even know if I can enjoy the sham election now that I know who's going to win.
If you can't trust your shadowy overlords to keep a secret, what is the purpose, really, of voting in the puppet democracy?
I'm fine with it. I mean, he was going to get my meaningless vote anyway.
Despite the leak, all of the presidential candidates have so far said they'll continue their campaigns.
Newt Gingrich
isn't about to give up just because he lost the election.
He'll
give up when he's supposed to on election day, and he'll act surprised.
Joining us now to talk about the leaked results is Diebold PR spokesman Ernie Kenilworth. Mr. Kenilworth, this was quite a mistake.
And we at Diebold would like to formally apologize to all of our shadowy puppet masters. This will not happen again. Please have mercy on us.
Do you think that people will still even vote in this election?
We certainly hope they will. This country is based on the fantasy that the government is the voice of the people. Going through the motions of voting and keeping the kingmakers dealing secret is central to our culture.
Why do we need electronic voting machines in the first place? They're just not as reliable as our cloaked masters, no matter how good the software gets.
Well, I understand people's concerns, but from now on, we at Diebold will see to it that we properly safeguard the illusion of democracy for all Americans.
Well, let's hope so. So, for those of us who will watch, what can we expect on election night?
Oh, the same great show that you have always seen. We will be pretending to count votes, and we will be running an ongoing total throughout the night.
But wouldn't it be possible for them to just choose a different president so that we'll still have that same great surprise?
No, I don't think so. However, that does not rule out the possibility for a staged assassination after the president has been placed in office.
Oh, I take it that's a hint.
You won't get anything else out of me today, Gina. I've already said too much.
It says there's minus 16,022 votes here.
But that kind of subtraction cannot occur accidentally.
So imagine you can go into a box and essentially rewrite history.
When I press the button next to my name, then I see Mr. Gamble-Luca's name in the display. When I press Susan Bernacker, we can't count our votes. So how do we know this is right?
Is recording votes correctly, and quite honestly, the results will be accurate and reliable.
What their inner workings are is the votes of you and I, citizens of America. We wouldn't have to do this if our system wasn't secret and hadn't been turned over to private corporations.